The music world is absolutely reeling right now after a wild revelation from Janet Jackson. It completely flipped decades of industry whispers into explosive headlines. In a deeply personal, emotional moment, Janet exposed what she claims was a hidden plot by none other than Jay-Z, allegedly working behind the scenes to set up her brother, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. Fans are completely stunned. Critics are heavily divided, and the whole industry is buzzing with questions. Was Michael actually betrayed by the music elite? Let's dive into Janet's claims and uncover the truth behind this chilling story. At 59, Janet Jackson is still carrying a deep emotional wound that time simply hasn't healed. In a heartfelt chat with the BBC published last year, the music icon admitted that she's still actively grieving the loss of her brother, Michael, even though more than a decade has passed since his shocking death back in 2009 at the age of 50. Michael's absence isn't just something she feels in her private life. It's completely woven into her music, her live stage performances, and her everyday memories. During her recent Together Again tour, Janet pays a beautiful, emotional tribute to Michael during their iconic duet, Scream. On stage, massive projections of Michael's image and voice light up, allowing her to physically perform right alongside him. It turns that segment of the show into something much bigger than a performance. It honestly feels like a family reunion. Janet loves to talk about how that track came together back in 1995 inside Michael's New York apartment. They sat and wrote the lyrics together while he poured his raw pain into the music. For her, Scream was never just another hit song. It was her way of standing shoulder to shoulder with her brother and giving him strength. Every time she sings it on tour, those memories come rushing right back, letting her relive their bond and keep his spirit alive in front of thousands of screaming fans. But Scream wasn't just a random track, it was a massive statement. Released in 1995 as the lead single for Michael's hugely ambitious album History, Past, Present and Future, Book 1, the song perfectly captured his intense frustration and rage at the non-stop media circus surrounding his life. Just 2 years prior, in 1993, Michael had faced devastating allegations of molesting a 13-year-old boy named Jordan Chandler at Neverland Ranch. Even though the civil case was ultimately settled out of court in 1994 for a staggering $25 million, those heavy accusations hung over his head like a permanent dark cloud, completely fueling public judgment and a brutal media frenzy. Even after Michael passed away, the massive controversies just wouldn't stop. In 2019, the documentary Leaving Neverland completely reignited the old allegations, bringing fresh claims of abuse that threatened to tear down his musical legacy. But Janet stood absolutely firm in his defense. She spoke out publicly, making it clear that Michael's massive impact on music, global culture, and humanity would outlast any shadows thrown at his name. She flat-out declared, "His legacy will continue." Still, Janet couldn't completely avoid the blast radius of her brother's scandals. In her 2022 documentary, Janet, she opened up about how the heavy accusations against Michael seriously damaged her own career. Major industry doors suddenly slammed shut. Massive opportunities completely vanished, and people started blacklisting her for scandals she had absolutely nothing to do with. She summed up that entire frustrating era in 3 incredibly painful words: guilty by association. For Janet, grief isn't just about the physical loss of a brother. It's about losing parts of her own identity, her hard-earned career, and the pure innocence of the bond they shared. Yet, every single time she steps out on that stage to sing Scream, she keeps Michael's voice alive, making sure that his story, both the music and the man, remains completely unforgettable. Michael's passing hit the world like a freight train. But how exactly was his death announced? What was the actual cause? And was there foul play? Let's look at the facts. Eminem has always been a guy who speaks with absolute fearlessness, constantly saying the exact things other artists desperately avoid. He once pointed out how modern music has this unique way of uniting generations. Young kids and their parents vibing out to the exact same tracks, especially through hip-hop, which bridges cultural age gaps like no other genre can. Yet, beneath all that musical harmony lies an unspoken, fierce rivalry. Hip-hop's elite versus the old guard of pop royalty. When Eminem publicly praised Jay-Z, it was way deeper than just standard mutual admiration. He saw Jay as a rare breed, an artist who physically dictates trends rather than desperately chasing whatever is popular. To Eminem, that is what true power looks like. It also highlights how young hip-hop still is as a musical genre. Unlike rock or pop, which have deep, decades-long histories, rap is still actively carving out its permanent path. Icons like Jay-Z and Eminem are basically writing the blueprint on how future rap artists can build lasting, generational influence. But that deep respect and fierce loyalty toward Jay-Z becomes way more interesting when you look back at Eminem's infamous beef with Michael Jackson. Back in the early 2000s, Eminem clowned MJ in ways that cut incredibly deep. Michael, deeply wounded by the public humiliation, didn't just sit around and complain. He used his immense corporate power to strike back, buying up the publishing rights to Eminem's catalog through his massive Sony/ATV stake. To the public, it looked like a standard celebrity spat. But to industry insiders, it looked like a massive clash of global empires. This is exactly where the conspiracy theories start to thicken. Jay-Z, a master corporate strategist, has always deeply understood the high-stakes fight for cultural dominance. On one side of the board, you had Michael Jackson, the eternal king of pop, whose global commercial reach was completely unmatched. On the other side, you had hip-hop's rising kings, Jay and Eminem, desperately trying to prove that rap wasn't just a temporary fad, but the absolute future of global music. Eminem's aggressive attack on MJ might not have been a random act of rebellion at all. It could have been part of a much larger, coordinated narrative. Was Eminem intentionally positioning himself right alongside Jay-Z as the front line of a hip-hop takeover of the global music industry? Think about it. Eminem has openly admitted that he constantly looks to Jay-Z for career direction, almost treating Jay like a corporate compass. Whenever Jay drops a new project, Eminem closely studies it, then checks exactly where he stands in comparison. If Jay-Z was actively masterminding hip-hop's ultimate dominance over an industry that was once ruled exclusively by pop royalty, Eminem might have been his perfect weapon. The one guy bold and reckless enough to directly attack Michael Jackson's image. Eminem later claimed that his public swipes at pop stars weren't personal, but were just an aggressive reaction to critics labeling him a pop rapper. Still, his targeted strikes on Michael felt completely different. They weren't just about fighting labels. They felt deeply symbolic, like taking a direct shot at the very heart of the pop throne. Michael represented the old, established empire. Eminem and Jay-Z symbolized the aggressive new empire rising to take the crown. Today, Eminem insists he's driven purely by artistic passion rather than raw rebellion, choosing to praise true writers like Ed Sheeran instead of tearing them down. But the echoes of that massive feud with Michael still linger in the industry. Was it just a burst of anger? Or was it the very first opening move in hip-hop's silent, corporate revolution? A literal passing of the crown from the king of pop to the kings of rap. So, What do you think? Would Jay-Z really mastermind a plot against Michael Jackson behind closed doors? Could there be way more to the story of his sudden passing than the public ever found out? I would absolutely love to hear your theories on this, so drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another deep dive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.